Hey, listeners, it's CJ. This episode was originally released on our Patreon back in 2019, but we are currently ripping open the vault and releasing it to you at no charge. Currently, we're taking a break from our Patreon, but if you want to support us, go to thatkindofnerd.com where you can support us directly. And in the meantime, we will be releasing our Patreon exclusive episodes when we have off weeks. So, without further ado, here is your retro review of Spider-Man 3. Enjoy.
Welcome to the club, 'cause you're that kind of nerd.
Welcome, listeners, to your exclusive retro review of Spider-Man 3. Whew. Why Spider-Man 3, you ask, CJ? Well, Josh is away right now. And we're not allowed to talk about Spider-Man Far From Home until he gets back. And I was really jonesing to talk about some Spider-Man, talk some Spidey. And Brian said, I've got an idea. Here we are.
Let's watch a bad Spider-Man movie.
Oh, man.
I gave you a choice. I said this or Amazing Spider-Man 2. You chose this.
Because here's why.
Because I'm not gonna expect you to watch the 1971 TV movie, although I would have watched that as well.
I was not going. All right. Here's why I didn't go for the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's a decent movie. It's fairly fine. We'll just sit there and just go, yeah, it could have been better. Like, it was fine. It was passable, and I got it. It's got its issues, but overall fine. There's a Coldplay song in it.
I would argue with you that this movie is totally fine.
I have notes, sir. I
believe you do.
Notes.
I believe you do. And listen, so let me be completely upfront right now. We all know Spider-Man is my favorite character.
Yes.
In 2007, when this got released, yes, I did defend this movie because I thought I would never get anything else.
Right.
Little did I know, a year later, I would get Iron Man and Dark Knight and all the wonderfulness that followed. So I can be more critical of this movie now. I still think this is not a bad movie. It's not. It gets a really bad rap. It's not as bad as everybody thinks it is.
So let me give a little background on the movie itself. A little bit of what CJ was doing in 2007 and how it relates. Spider-Man 3 was released in 2007. Okay, I was a poor college student who couldn't go see movies, and AMC A-List and MoviePass didn't exist, so I had to pay hard cash to go see a movie. Mm-hmm. When this movie came out.
This is back when tickets cost $7.50, but okay.
When you have $0, $7.50 is $7.50 more than what you have. Spider-Man 2 was amazing. The Sam
Probably
Raimi,
one of the greatest superhero movies of all time.
It's fucking great. Mm-hmm. So you're hearing, hey, the black suit's coming. I fucking love the black suit. You're hearing Venom's coming. I fucking love Venom. You hear maybe Sandman popping up too. You're like, I like Sandman. These are solid ideas. Let's do this. And then you heard about the movies, and I bootlegged this movie. I illegally bootlegged this movie to watch it.
You bootlegged this.
Goddamn right. In 2007, I've never seen this movie in a movie theater.
It's like one of the top 30 grossing movies of all time.
I did not contribute to that. As a matter of fact, I stole from that money. I bootlegged it.
I have seen every Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie in the theater, including this one.
Yeah.
7 times.
Oh,
so I more than made up for your bootleg.
Yes, so I just want to let you know, the first time I saw it was on a cam, right?
Gross.
Oh yeah, it was already dark to begin with, and very hard to follow at the end. But I did that. Here's what I want to say, Brian, about this movie up front, because you were saying it's not as bad as you admit it. For the first 30 minutes, I was totally with this movie. I'm sitting here going, This isn't as bad as I remember. This is actually pretty good. The effects in this movie actually really hold up. So
the Sandman stuff is great.
The Sandman stuff looks good, right? The thing where Harry and him are fighting like the little alleyways and they're doing the red swinging.
It's a great scene.
Holds up really well. Like him tumbling, even the faces look realistic. The effects really hold up. The fight with Goblin looks like it's from a movie today.
Yeah, agreed. Listen. I know what you're going to say, and I'm going to agree with you. This movie falls apart in the second act and then becomes completely
When do you define the second act?
I define the second act as once the black suit is on him.
Oh,
That's
yes.
the second
okay.
act.
Yeah. Yep.
The moment the black suit gets introduced, this movie starts falling apart. Now, listen, to your point, I'm watching it again, and that is my biggest critique: is that this movie is good for a solid half
Seriously,
hour.
Half hour. It's really good.
There's some great imagery. There's some great scenes.
Please.
The imagery of Sandman reconstituting himself for the first time is amazing. And the fight scene between him and Sandman on the armored car is so good.
I would like to
so
go
much fun.
I would like to go on record saying I love Sandman in this movie.
And I love Thomas Hayden Church in this role.
And he's so good.
He's so good.
He's so good. The costume also, it's like so. I mean, it's so reminiscent of the comics and the animated series.
Yeah, he looks the part. He does everything.
Everything
right.
Sandman, fantastic. This movie should have just only had Sandman.
And that was the plan. Here's the deal about this movie.
Too many villains in this movie.
This movie is a perfect example of studio interference and studios getting their hands in the cookie jar and forcing things into the creative process, completely damaging the movie overall.
Yeah.
Venom was never supposed to be in this movie. In fact, I read several interviews with Sam Raimi, even when the first movie came out and was a huge success. People being like, when's Venom? We want Venom. When's Venom? And Sam Raimi legitimately quoting saying, Venom was after my time. He's like, I love this character too much to do something that I am not familiar with. I'm not going to be doing Venom. And then the third one comes around. The studio thinks, we're not doing another one. This is it. You have to do it, and forcing it in on him. Sandman was always Sam Raimi's favorite character. It was always the villain he wanted to do last. And it shows. This movie is just Sam Raimi by itself and Sandman by itself and even the New Goblin stuff. This is a good movie. This is a good movie. Listen,
I don't like the New Goblin stuff.
There's some acting choices that Franco makes that I'm not exactly on board with, but the story itself,
right?
This story is just as much Harry's story as it is Peter's. And I'm talking all the way back from the first Sam Raimi movie.
I disagree with you with the New Goblin stuff, but that's fine. We're going to get to that. There's something else that you brought up that I thought was really important. Real quick pause. Sam Raimi actually, like, the last, like, week and a half was talking about Spider-Man 4 and how he regrets not doing it, but also at the same time, like, doing it. Like thank God it didn't happen, but at the same time, I really wish I could have, like, tackled it. And, like, there's a whole bunch of other stuff on there. I don't know if that necessarily has the actual news, but whatever. Something that I really appreciated with this movie compared to current Spider-Man movies and current MCU movies is that the way that this is shot is so thoughtful and so composed. There's not a lot of there is some, but not a lot of Steadicam stuff. Instead, it's very Sam Raimi's touch and just directing. Very thoughtfully constructed shots, the tone, the color palette. It seems half like Tim Burton-esque, but also half comic book. It does a really good job of blending it together. There's a shot of MJ sitting on a bench and kind of thinking about, you know, what's going on with Peter and all the drama going on in this movie. And it's such a beautiful shot. And anyway, the way that they shot this movie was fantastic. I was a real big fan of it. Seriously, I kept writing several times, I like the artistic look and shot of this movie. Oh my God, this shot is fucking amazing. It's really good. The other highlight for this movie is obviously J. Jonah Jameson and everything that he does in this movie.
J. Jonah Jameson is amazing. Like, it's J.K. Simmons.
Yes.
That entire scene, and it's not
Elizabeth
just him.
Banks.
It's Elizabeth Banks as Betty Brant. That entire scene of her, your blood pressure, take your medicine.
No, not that one. The other one.
Not that one. And then he's got the pills and drink plenty of water.
Yep.
Like,
it's
so good.
That was the only comedy that landed for me in this movie. All the other stuff.
So here's the thing,
land.
and here's the thing I think people overlook about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in general. And it's not supposed to be comedic, but it's kind of comedic if you've ever been in that situation or been the guy causing that situation. You know what part of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire was really good at and nailed? And I have a feeling it's because he's this way as a person.
The socially awkward part.
Not even just socially awkward, just awkward. Even when he's by himself, he's just awkward.
Yeah.
He's just making things feel so uncomfortable.
Yes.
He was really, really good at that. Like, and that is Spider-Man. That's the way Spider-Man is. Like, you know, he's trying not to come across as weird, but it always comes across as weird. Like, he did that so well. And I found some comedy in that stuff. Obviously, the J. Jonah Jameson stuff is comedic, but when he's like, the stuff with him and like the kids and like they're watching the Spider-Man video, he's like, oh, it's gonna start over again. Stick around. He's just like, oh, that's awkward, but kind of funny. Like, so I mean, it's there's a lot of things here and there, and like, you know, you look back at Spider-Man 1 and 2, there wasn't a ton of comedy in
there
those
wasn't.
movies besides J.
Right.
Jonah Jameson. Like, so I'm fine with that. It's just that Venom was an afterthought. It was very clear Venom was an afterthought. The article you actually sent me highlights under on like the second reason about Sam Raimi's creative differences with Sony and the fact that Venom was shoehorned into this movie.
Right.
And it shows because I literally can remove Venom from the entire movie, and this movie is great.
It'd be fantastic.
And you don't have to change, but you don't have to change
So
anything.
let's talk
You
about.
can still have the same story beats and never
nothing would
have Venom.
Yeah, nothing would shift. Nothing would change. Let's talk a little bit about that because Topher Grace is cast as Eddie Brock Jr. and it's a very different Eddie Brock.
It's different, but listen, you know,
He's fun. He's fine.
He's fine.
He's trying
He is
his
fine in
goddamn
the role.
hardest.
It's not even that he's trying his hardest. He's
trying to be respectful. He's really just he wants to give people what they deserve.
He was very clearly a fan, and he's trying to pull off the machismo, the kind of being a dick. It's not his fault. It's the way the character is written.
But
there's a lot of stuff in the way the character is written that was bull crap.
Here's my question: the Eddie Brock I grew up with, you know, was the meathead who just happened to take photos, right?
He wasn't a meathead though, because he was a reporter,
right? Yes,
and
he was smart with that.
And they make a very big point about the fact that this guy was not just a reporter; he's a good reporter.
Right?
And like you don't just do that, and you're a meathead.
Well, they did that better in the Venom movie than they did in this, because in this movie he's just a photographer. He's not a reporter.
He's just a sleazy photographer who will Photoshop a photo to get ahead.
Here's the thing I had is, why is Eddie Brock trying to out-dweeb Peter Parker when he's talking to J. Jonah Jameson? It's like, you know, it's actually about composers and the lights. It's not just about getting heights and the angles. And I'm like,
that's the thing.
What are you doing?
It's about the fact that Sam Raimi is forced to add a character that he knows nothing about. So it's very clear.
It's just the anti-Peter Parker.
He's being anti-Peter Parker. It's very clear that he doesn't know anything about the character.
Right.
And, you know, anybody who knows the character knows this isn't just the polar opposite of Peter. It is to an extent, but it's not just that. The symbiote, he doesn't know anything about the symbiote either. Right. Because the symbiote doesn't behave the way the symbiote should behave.
We don't get any wheeze or anything like that. Right.
You don't get the wheeze. You don't get the usses. But even like just the fact that the suit doesn't bond to Peter. It bonds to his spider suit.
Yes. Which
makes no sense. The whole point of this is that it creates this symbiotic bond with him. And it molds into the clothes that he wants. It's on him all the time. Like, and it's infecting him and infecting his thoughts. Like, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, just take off the damn suit. You know that something's wrong. Just take it off. It's not bonded to you.
He's making the choice to embrace the black suit when he wants to be kind of douchey, right? When he feels that, I'm not feeling as good as I would. My life's kind of going a little different direction. I see other people who, you know, are a little more machizo and they're a little happy, so I'll wear this suit and I'll feel better, and it allows him to do that behavior.
I get it.
But here's the thing, that you could, if you would have done the symbiote right, you could have avoided the dancing in the street, go get the black suit scene, and just change your clothes into a suit. You could have just done that. Also, you get fangs when you become Venom. You get fangs in your teeth. Your teeth change. Eddie Brock's teeth have fangs, and they're yellowed and very discolored when they
but I mean, it's
back.
very apparent that his real teeth are still behind there. Like,
okay, it wasn't very apparent to me, but it was
it's
apparent.
pretty apparent. And like when he gets the suit the first time, unlike when the suit bonds with Spider-Man early in the movie, the suit goes down his throat,
Okay.
and that's where the fangs are coming
Okay. Since we're talking about the symbiote, and we've already
Okay.
talked about the fact that it bonds with this suit, I, to this day, hate the fact that all they did was take his suit and
just
make it black. It fucking aggravates me time to time. That war,
I get it,
no,
though.
and you know
I
this.
get it.
That costume has been around since Secret War. It's an iconic costume.
I got you. It's been around since the 80s. I feel you. But I want you to use your film and technical prowess and tell me how easy it is to film just a black, skin tight
Well,
suit.
here's the thing with this too, and this is a little fun inside information. Actually, when I was in college, right, the stunt coordinator for Spider-Man actually came to my university and talked to us.
Oh, jealous.
Right, this is the fun part about being in the theater program. We got to talk to some people, and he was talking about he was also a stunt coordinator on Angel and Buffy as well, so he did some of that work. But he talked about Spider-Man and how he was one of the stunt doubles for Spider-Man 1 and 2. But when the time that 2 and 3 were rolling and filming, Tobey Maguire hated being in the suit.
Yeah, I believe it.
Hated it. And would only do it if he didn't have to wear the mask, and he only wanted to do it for short periods of time. And all of the mask stuff that you see in Spider-Man 3
It's a
is
stunt double.
that stunt double.
Yeah.
So I imagine that they were going to put a whole lot of time and effort into a suit, only to have the lead actor not even be in it, right? Because then they'd have to make one for him and one for the stunt double, but the stunt double's one's going to be better because it's going to be on camera the most.
right.
But at the same time, I can't abide by that. I understand the practicality of it. It just still bothers me that they did that. It's not the right suit. And then when you look at Venom in this movie, very lightly, very close. If you look real close and squint your eyes and tilt your head a little bit, you can see the Venom logo actually on his chest. So you can see it on Topher Grace, which is cool, but it's really tough to see. And I understand it doesn't have to do that. I mean, we saw it in the Venom movie with Tom Hardy. It doesn't necessarily
He didn't
have
even
to
have
have
the logo
that.
on there.
Right, it didn't have to have it. You still get Venom. I get it. But I just really would have appreciated it. I know that's something that I love the black suit. I'm very passionate about the black suit.
Really?
Tell
me more about that.
Anytime I play a Spider-Man game, Brian,
You
and
choose
the black suit's an option, it's mine. I don't care if the other one would literally make me invincible and would be like, hey, we unlocked the whole game and we're going to give you $100. No, I'm wearing the black suit.
Okay.
I'm ranting.
Hey, I listen. It's a great suit. I love it. I love the costume. I understood the reasonings why. That doesn't bother me that much. It's just it's very clear that this was not what they wanted.
Right.
So they didn't have the time to research it to do it right. I'm not saying Sam Raimi didn't care. I'm saying he was forced to do something that he didn't want to do.
Right.
So he wasn't able to devote what he should have to it.
Now, what I did like, again, that he didn't really understand Venom, but the one thing I really did like about what they did with Venom was when he got the symbiote off of Eddie and he's kind of putting in the posts in the ground and like
yeah.
manipulating it. The symbiote without Eddie is scary as hell. Dude,
Yeah.
it is creepy. Classic Raimi horror aspects put in at that
very,
point.
very classic Raimi. in
And
that
I
scene.
love what he did with that. I do like that part.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it was true to the comics. Hey, we go to the church and we ring a bell and it drips down and goes to Eddie. I mean, like that part, like, okay, like we kept some of the stuff. Like we did it. It was very close with Venom. It was fine. I agree. It's kind of like, what was it? Indiana Jones. What Indiana Jones movie is he completely irrelevant in?
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Well, no. The one with the Ark of the Covenant.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. He nothing that Indiana Jones meant anything. Everything would have played out exactly the same without Indiana Jones.
Yes, I've heard this.
Everything would have played out exactly the same without Venom.
Yes,
Would've been fine.
you're absolutely right. Everything would have played out the exact same.
And here's
I
my
mean-
other question:
Yes,
is he dead? Is Venom and the symbiote? Are they?
that is what we are led to believe.
They're dead?
That is what we are led to believe.
What do you think? I'm asking what do you think. The
I
listeners
think-
are not here to
I think
hear
they're
that's
dead.
what was said. You think they're dead?
No, I think he's dead. I think. Listen, in comic books, we know these things are going to go on for 20 plus years. We have to keep these villains around. In movies, it's like, this is our shot. This is the only time we're probably going to get to see this character on screen, especially in 2007. Right. Yeah, I'm sure they killed him. I'm sure they had no intention of bringing him back.
Okay. I've got two things that I also want to talk about. Two beats and arcs of this movie.
Sure.
Let's talk about Harry in this movie.
Okay, let's talk about Harry, because I think when you talk about Harry, you can't just isolate this movie. Harry's arc is across all three movies.
Yes, as a good character should.
As a good character should, and his relationship with Peter is a huge focus of this movie.
Yes.
The memory loss thing, I'm not crazy about, but I'm fine with it. There's a couple things that Franco decides to do as acting choices I'm not a fan of. How's the pie? So good.
What the fuck was that?
Not a fan of that.
My one note is, what the fuck was that pie scene?
I don't know. That's a decision on Franco.
But then, like, the look back over the shoulder and then disappearing.
How quickly did he pay that bill? You know, he's hiding under a table somewhere.
Right.
Like, he's like,
no way
he tipped and just went down.
He didn't tip at all. He just left.
I mean, either that or he's Harry Osborn. He left like $100 bill and bolted.
Anyway, yes, the pie scene really fucked up.
Here's the thing. I really like Harry's story overall. I mean, I think it's very well done. I think it's a great redemption story. I think he, as a villain, attacks Peter personally, where Sandman is attacking Spider-Man, and I like that. It's not all about the Goblin versus Spider-Man. It's really Harry versus Peter, and Harry's using his personal life against him. I think remove all the memory loss stuff, have more of Harry fucking with Peter in his personal life and causing this rift between him and Mary Jane, and that's great. And I like the redemption and the decision to help him at the end. What I don't like, what I don't understand, if I am a close friend of the family who's been serving this family for years, and I see this child,
the butler, yes,
this child who I practically helped raise because his father didn't do anything,
right,
and his mother died years ago, tormenting himself over the loss of his father,
yes,
and blaming someone for the loss of his father,
yes,
and doing horrendous things to himself,
yes,
to avenge his father who never cared about him,
right. And
I've been sitting on the information that his father killed himself for 4 years.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell that kid a lot sooner. I'm gonna tell that kid a lot sooner, way before his face gets half blown off by a pumpkin bomb.
That was my note, which was, Peter, I didn't kill your dad. I promise, I didn't kill your dad. I'm your best friend. I didn't kill your dad. He killed himself. Harry, fuck you. I don't believe you. Harry's random butler who hasn't said shit for years. Oh, I just sides up. Yeah, what he said's true. Oh, all right, I believe you. Really? That's what tipped the scales? Wouldn't you be angry? Like, why the fuck didn't you tell me sooner? I'm so glad you had that. It was my same thought too.
That's the one thing I'm like, okay, listen. Harry could have found redemption any other way. It doesn't even have to do with the fact that Peter didn't kill his dad. He could have had this self-realizing moment of, my dad was a monster.
Right.
Who didn't care about me.
Yes.
And so whatever happened
and
to
Peter
him,
is still here for me. And oh my God, I've wrecked his life. I need to atone for this. Yes, that would have been a much better resolution to Harry's arc to do it. Now, I still think he gets redemption at the end. He gets his life for him. I mean, it all ends the same way. I think the journey in which it went could have been a little better.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, and here's the thing. He loses his memory because he hit his head on a pipe, right, in the middle of that fight scene, which, again, really holds up. It's pretty damn good effects. I really, really appreciate this movie didn't do the classic trope of him getting hit in the head again during a fight, and now he remembers everything. Thank you for not doing that. It's something very well that they did with Harry's story, and I'm glad they didn't. Now, I have no idea where the hell this design for the new Goblin came from. I don't mind the snowboard glider thing. That's fine. I don't understand the helmet. We start with such a cartoonish helmet from his father, and they show like a small progression of helmets, but then it just goes right to this, like, again,
just face covering,
like ski, like a snowboarding helmet. Like if someone went into a snowboard shop and was like, "Yes, that is my costume."
I mean, I can't speak for the costume design and costume choices of some of these things. Like, I can only speak for the content. I'm not hung up on that
But-
like you are.
That's not anything that's in. At first, I didn't think he was New Goblin. I thought it was Hobgoblin.
I think he's casted as a new Goblin
Okay, cast.
because
Just cast,
well, I mean,
not casted.
let's be real. I mean, in the comic book, Harry Osborn is a second Green Goblin. How confusing is it for moviegoers to be like, wait, I thought we saw the Green Goblin 3 years ago or 5 years ago in that first movie.
I get it.
That's confusing. Like,
Here's the thing. Obviously, James Franco's Francoing it up, right? In this movie, the
Yep,
thing where
yep.
he's eating the cotton candy at the Spider-Man parade, and he's like, "Boop," and like,
Bop.
I'm like,
yeah.
"What the fuck is going on?"
The everything from the moment he hits his head to the moment he gets his memories back, and he's just
He's
like,
just stoned the whole time, like you
He
normally
seems
would
like
be.
he-
Right?
but here's my thing about his choice in that performance. He's not playing it like a guy who lost the past 4 years of his
Yeah,
life.
he's not.
He's playing it like a guy who lost the past 20 years of his life. He's like a 10-year-old.
Yes.
And he's just like even from the first scene, and then the nurse is like, "You got some great friends." He's like, "Oh, they're my best friends. They're my best friends ever." Like, that's something like little kids say.
Yeah.
And like that, but then that's my problem. He's playing it like a little kid for that entire middle
Yep.
20 minutes where he doesn't have his. And again, that's not the writing.
No, and
That's a decision Franco made.
and they're also just he's also like, it's kind of nice not knowing who I was and finding out who I am now. And I'm like, why are you
I'm free as
talking
a
this
bird.
way? What
I'm
are you
free as a
doing?
He's got that just dopey smile on his
Oh,
face
God,
the entire
it's
time, which
so
is kind of
much.
unsettling after a while.
Yep.
Like,
Okay, I have a question which you may have already answered. Why
Okay.
is Sandman attacking Spider-Man? What did Spider-Man do to Sandman?
he's not. I mean, the first two.
Why did he
The
pair
first-
up with Green Goblin? Why did he pair up with Harry?
The first three fights, Spider-Man comes after him.
Right, he's robbing a bank.
He's robbing a bank.
He's a bad
right?
guy. He's being a bad guy.
He right, but he teams up. But after Spider-Man tries to kill him, that's when he's like,
He's got the black suit.
I'm gonna kill you.
Right, he puts in the water. Okay.
Right.
Obviously, this movie didn't stay with me. All right, justified. I feel okay. Again, I love everything Sandman in this movie.
Yeah.
Give me more
Sandman,
of that.
Sandman is great.
All right.
Venom is the mistake. The stuff with New Goblin and Harry is a mixed bag. That's why I'm saying this movie is not that bad. Everybody points out the middle 10 minutes.
This is it. Let's talk
The
about
middle
it.
10 minutes, and and that's what they say.
So
They
let's-
point to when they say this is a terrible movie. That is that is a terrible 10 minutes of a
But
2.5
here's the
hour
thing, though.
movie.
It's more than 10 minutes.
It's
a
10.
it's a 10 minutes. It's a long sequence, right? The sequence we don't like the cutscene of it. However, I don't understand the emo look. First off, it's just not good. Like it's just not a good emo look. That cutscene of him doing the strut down the street, getting the suit, talking with the girl on the phone, get me more cookies, get me some milk, could you put some nuts in it? Being a dick, that whole stuff is awful. It's so bad that even in Into the Spider-Verse, they
mocked it.
couldn't defend and they mock it.
I get it.
Here's the other thing I have. He goes to the jazz club with Gwen Stacy. Hey, Gwen Stacy's in this movie. And he,
Yeah, which we haven't talked about yet. Bryce Dallas Howard was wonderful.
Very
as Gwen
good
Stacy.
job.
She's so good.
She
She's
was
good in a lot
very
of
good in
things.
this movie. I enjoyed what she did. Again, give me more of that. He goes to the jazz club to go taunt Mary Jane. Slides the waitress some form of monetary value and says, quote, find us some shade, which I'm totally going to say the next time I go to Red Robin. Like, find me some shade?
Yeah, because Red Robin's going to respond to that.
They will, sir.
Okay.
They will. I don't here, and here's the worst part, right? Here's the worst part about that entire scene where they're in the jazz club. Nothing says Banff, right? Like doing swing dancing at a jazz club. But in all seriousness, it's fucking beautiful. It's so well shot. It tracks very well. The lighting's great. The performance is going on. It's beautiful camera work. It's good acting by Tobey Maguire. It's just all wrong. But I'm sitting there going, God, I hate this. But it's actually composed very well. And they're not doing a whole bunch of jump cuts. And The lighting is actually very, like it's setting a mood. And Bryce Dallas Howard at the end of it, she's very offended and upset, and she apologizes to Mary Jane, and Mary Jane's just standing there kind of taking it. I don't know why they would let a patron play on the piano, but I mean, whatever, that's working. And then they kick him out afterwards. That makes sense. And I enjoyed it. What the hell happened to me? It was just, it is. Here's the problem. That whole stretch, the dancing, the strutting, all of that, unfortunately, is a huge burden on the movie. And he plays that kind of that style for more than, I think, 10 minutes. It's more than that. It's not a majority of the movie. It's not even enough that I would say...
But that's my point. It's not enough that we should point to this movie and say, this is the worst movie ever. I have seen worse movies, and I have seen worse superhero movies. I will watch this over Fan Four Stick.
Yes.
I will watch this over Ang Lee's Hulk. I'll watch
Superman?
this over Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Yes.
Batman versus Superman.
Yes.
This movie does so many things right.
Right.
It does. There's like I was doing things while watching this movie. And there was moments where I was like, oh, I got to put this down because this is a great scene. And it happened multiple times throughout the movie. This movie is great scenes just filled in the cracks of the cement of shittiness.
And I think that's the problem because, again, I could do without the Harry stuff. I didn't like it. I understand why it is. I didn't hold that against the movie. I wasn't a fan of it. I loved Sandman. I loved the Gwen Stacy stuff. I loved the J. Jonah Jameson. I like the relationship with Mary Jane and Peter Parker and their troubles in their relationship.
Mention just the one thing that stuck out like a sore thumb to me on this watch through that I never really bothered me until now? That's clearly not Kirsten Dunst singing.
Oh, no way. How did you not know that?
I knew that. I knew that, but it didn't bother me until now.
Now it bothers you.
Why? Like, Mary Jane doesn't have to be a Broadway actor.
No. Well, she doesn't have to be a singer. She can be a Broadway actress. You don't have to make her in a musical.
Right.
Yes.
She doesn't have to be in a musical. She could be a TV actress because that's what she was in the comic book. Why? Knowing that we can't have the actress sing, why do we
I don't know.
Put her in a role?
That's a very good point. I don't know.
And that's what bugged me. It's not the fact that, oh, she's not lip syncing correctly. Like, it all tracks. But if we knew we had an actress, it's the planning. If we knew we had an actress who can't actually do it, why write the scene that way? We could have done it anyway, any other way.
Also, she needs to get her union rep on the phone. I don't think you could be released from a show like that and just be like, okay, I'm sure they owe you a lot of money for the rest of your contract, even though they kicked you out. I believe she's entitled to more compensation. Call JG Wentworth 877 cash now. I'm sure you can get something from it.
Yeah.
Here it is. Final impressions of watching this movie. Again, I'm so on board for the first 30, maybe 45 minutes. I'm rocking with it. I'm enjoying it. Again, I think the action sequences, all the action sequences hold up. The web swinging in this movie is so kinetic. It's so good.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of what they did with Harry Osborn. I get it. I don't hold it against it. I do have a problem with Venom just kind of being tacked on. It just kind of felt and it took away from, I think, the beautiful story of Sandman. I love the fact that he went back to his daughter, went back to his house, into the lock. I mean, Sandman should have been the real big focus of this, and I feel like it got hurt by that. And then, unfortunately, I still can't get that fucking cutscene of him walking down the street out of my head. I think this is one of those things where it's not death by 1,000 paper cuts, but I left with the movie with a bunch of cuts, and then I went to go wash my hands, and I was like, ow! Oh, God! Where did I get all this from? So it left with a bad impression. I do agree there are worse superhero movies. I do agree there are worse movies. But of these amazing Spider-Man movies, oh God, I didn't mean that. Of these really good Spider-Man movies, this is obviously the low one on the totem pole.
Obviously, there's plenty of better Spider-Man movies. Here's the thing. I'm glad you chose this one because I constantly get shit for defending this movie, and everybody points to the same scene, the same 10 minutes, and I just challenge people to watch this movie again with this commentary in mind, knowing that this movie is not nearly as bad as people make it out to be.
Yes, it is bad.
It is
it's
bad.
not as bad as people make it out to be.
But
Yes.
it's not, and it's not amazing, and it's definitely not Spider-Man 2. I am on record as saying Spider-Man 2 is probably one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Yep.
Yes, I'm including Dark Knight and Iron Man in that.
I would watch Spider-Man 3 over.
that.
I would watch Spider-Man 3 over Dark Phoenix.
Hell yeah.
And
Any
X3.
day. Any day. I would watch Spider-Man 3 over like a lot of the X-Men movies.
That's very true.
Like, so this movie is a solid. It is fun, and the to your point, technically it's great. The special effects are fantastic.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi has always been good about making these movies, these Spider-Man movies in particular, a little bit fun, a little bit like on the edge of your seat, and a little bit just like action oriented, but a whole lot of heart. And you know, that's partially Sam, and that's partially Tobey Maguire. Like, he was a good Spider-Man. I love Tom Holland. He's an amazing Spider-Man. I think he's fantastic.
No, he's not the Amazing Spider-Man. That's Andrew Garfield.
Toby was great. And like, I just think this is definitely worth a rewatch. It's worth a revisit. Just saying.
There are obviously, as Brian said, there are better Spider-Man movies, like Spider-Man Far From Home. Listen, Spider-Man 3, I agree with Brian. Give it another shot. I think you're going to like it more than when you saw it in 2007. However, I don't think it's going to crack your top 20 anytime soon. But I think it's worth rewatching and just kind of appreciating what worked. Again, there are things from this movie I would love to see in the current MCU. I think it would be great. But overall, okay, this is better movie. I will give this a little more due than I normally did, especially after rewatching.
Yay!
So
I win.
Thank you, listeners, for making us your walk around your neighborhood or your drive to work. And we will see you on the next episode. Hey, before you go, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We're currently just pausing our Patreon content, but if you want to support us directly, you can just go to thatkindofnerd.com and make a donation. So in the meantime, thanks so much for making us your walk around your neighborhood, your drive to work, or whatever it is we are in your life right now. And we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Well, welcome to the club, 'cause you are that kind of nerd.